Welcome to the Mismatch. I'm Chris Vernon, and joining me today every week from TheRinger.com is Dave Jacoby. Jacoby!
Finals are here, Verno. They're upon us.
That was not very exciting.
I just don't want to talk about the Knicks.
Why didn't you say, the finals are here, Verno?
Because it's the Pacers and the Thunder. That's why.
Oh, we're not doing this big market media bias
I don't care about that. No, I honestly,
you do.
I said on the show in the last episode that the Pacers were a better matchup for the Thunder than the Knicks. I think it's an interesting finals. But I am excited to watch all 4 games of them.
Well, we'd be remiss if we did not mention that in the last episode that we recorded, you had experienced the euphoria of Game 5 at Madison Square Garden and felt good about the opportunity. Hyped. You felt good about the opportunity in Game 6.
I was so hyped because it was such a dominant performance. A wire-to-wire Knicks win in the playoffs is just unfathomable. They looked like the better team after looking like an outclassed, outcoached team in Game 4.
Gave up 94 points. We talked about pace of game.
It's like they figured things out.
They were able to dictate the terms in Game 5 and then did not dictate the pace in Game 6. Ended up getting 125 hung on them in Game 6 and a 125-108 victory for the Pacers.
This episode is presented by Intuit Credit Karma. Navigate the world of credit cards with Credit Karma's tailored recommendations. It's suitable for anyone interested in taking control of their financial journey with cutting-edge technology. Start at creditkarma.com to find cards that fit your financial lifestyle. Credit Karma, finding the right card for you.
So before we get into all the final stuff, let's put that to bed because we talked a lot about that Knicks series. Obviously, you went to that Knicks series. 3 Knicks questions for Jacoby. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Why did the Knicks lose?
Lack of adjustments. Just like I think a lot about Game 6. It was a very frustrating evening to be a Knicks fan or even a basketball fan because they didn't play well in the first half. But remember, going into the half, they're down 4. And I started to think about that halftime, right? What do you think the coaches told the team at halftime? They're like, guys, get back on defense. After a made basket, if Jalen drives, Bridges, you replace. We need guys. OG, Mikal, you don't try for offensive rebounds. They're beating us with their pace. They're beating us off made baskets. They're beating us off missed shots. Get back. Let's slow this down. That's what they said at halftime.
Because on one side, Rick Carlisle, because you could see him during the game. Pace, 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 pace. Like the whole thing, right? Like go, 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 go.
And I don't blame coaches. I know that Thibs is going through it. We'll talk about that, I'm sure. But I don't blame the coaching. I just blame the execution. At halftime, I'm sure they were told we need to limit turnovers and transition points. And then start the third quarter. It was the same thing. And it was worse. It was honestly worse.
I mean, you're talking about, look, the video I posted on Twitter was, I posted one, it was off a make. And I don't think the ball touched the ground, and it was a dunk on the other end. And I'm like, how is this a transition dunk off a make? That's what it was. It was go, 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 beating them down the court. Do you think that they had the personnel for it to be solvable, or do you think that because of what the Knicks bring to the table and what makes them successful, and it's what Thibs stuck with, and though their starting 5 throughout the playoffs did not have good numbers, right? For whatever reason, that unit does not play well together they have all variations of the lineups that they play, and we've talked a lot about how sometimes when Towns was on the court without Brunson, when Brunson was on the court without Towns, and then you have the 2 big guys who are obviously not fleet of foot and are just getting – and so if you're going to play 2 big guys, we're just going to foot race you constantly up and down. And so is there a part of you that goes, this was a uniquely bad matchup, or do you look at it and go, that should have been solvable and we should have
been
punished
solvable.
them?
First of all, you said 3 questions. That was about, you just asked like 5 at once.
No, I didn't.
But yes, you did. Go back on the tape. But I will say, to answer, it should have been solvable in my opinion. I'm not an NBA basketball coach, but I feel like going into the series, I felt like the Knicks had more talented basketball players. Coming out of the series, I felt like they were out-coached. And not necessarily out-coached, because that puts it on Thibs. I felt like the obvious changes that needed to be made on the basketball floor, I'm sure were suggested by the coaches, but just were not executed by the players.
Fair enough. Okay. Question number 2, because there's only been one question so far.
Yeah, sure. Let the record show.
Let the record show. Would you bring back Thibs as a fan? We know he has gotten endorsement from Brunson. According to Shams, he evidently has support from the front office. It's a lot easier to have support from the front office when you still got whatever it is, $30 million remaining on your contract or whatever extension he had signed. It's not like he was, coaching for his job. I mean, he could go and make $30 million if you want to try to move on from him. Will you be happy as a Knicks fan if Tom Thibodeau is on the sideline next year?
Well, it's hard for me to be unbiased about this as someone who has been coached by Tom Thibodeau before as a basketball player.
Oh, I forgot you're a former player of
his. I'm a former player of his.
I might as well be talking to Joakim Noah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to be objective about this. But I'll just try to imagine that he was never my coach for 2 weeks when I was 9 years old. Okay? In that hypothetical world, I am of the mind that people love to get rid of coaches. But it's like, well, who else? Like, I agree. Like, who is out there? Mike Malone comes up, but people always want to he's from Long Island. Like, one of the things I'm tired of in like NBA Discord is player X is from location Y, so he should play for Team Z. Like, that doesn't really factor into me. There is something about knowing the local culture and the fan base and being able to relate to like the fans. But outside of Mike Malone, Mike Malone? Like, who else?
P.S. Mike Malone plays 7 guys too.
Yeah, like who else? Like, who's gonna be better than Thibs? And from an objective perspective, like looking at the season, I never let's not forget how we felt about this team going into the Celtics series. Remember, you said it was minus 800 on FanDuel.
That's right.
Coach Thibodeau coached a team that beat the Celtics with Tatum, brought them to a 3-1 lead. Without Tatum, beat the Celtics in a 7-game series at home in the Garden. When the Knicks have been like 0-7 in elimination games in the Garden. It's like, I thought this has been a very successful season. This is the first year with this core. So why would you fire Thibs? Why?
He also most important to me, beyond, it was a wildly successful season that will be revered as such as time goes on, right? It's all fresh right now, and it's annoying to lose to the Pacers. I get it. But you're going to look back and go, we were one of the last 4 teams standing in this deal.
Thank you. That's where my head's at.
Right.
If we recorded this, I just want to say, if we recorded this podcast Saturday night, I wouldn't have this sort of like a balanced approach. I was very emotional and very angry because it was just such a dumb way to lose an elimination game. But now that I've had some time to like relax, talk to other Knicks fans, and like listen to like the discourse about firing Thibs and like trading for Giannis or trading for Durant, like none of that, dude. This is the best Knicks season. Like, when was the last time they were in the Eastern Conference?
The other thing is this, right?
99 was the last time they were in the finals.
Coaches nowadays, this is my feeling, get all of the blame and none of the credit. When there was an acquisition, we talked about how he had Jalen Brunson's support. To not give Tom Thibodeau any of the credit for what has become of Jalen Brunson is folly to me. Like, he deserves credit. Like, if we all accept no one saw this coming, where Jalen Brunson's a 30-point per game scorer in the league.
So honestly, I'm not buying the no one saw this coming thing.
They didn't.
But they've got Rick Brunson as the assistant coach. Rick Brunson saw this coming.
Rick Brunson did not think his son was going to have Steph Curry numbers.
When they were playing, I think they were playing Oklahoma City Thunder and Worldwide West. and Worldwide West, I think it might have been
Right.
Leon, were in the crowd. It was like a
Right.
game 4. It was like, oh, we're checking out our guy.
There's
At that
no
point,
doubt.
they had him pegged for
There's
that.
no doubt they thought they targeted him and wanted him and thought he was going to be a fantastic signing. They did not think he was going to be this. Even to them, this is surprising that he has become a 30-point per game scorer, one of the best playoff performers, all this stuff. And so all I'm saying is Thibs gets credit for these guys advancing as well and playing as well as they did. And maneuvering through, the Towns is that's a big change when you're adding Karl Towns into the mix on this. And look, they've got the talent. They spent the money. You should be very good. When you're spending $200 million on your payroll, you should be very good, okay? Unless you royally screwed it up, i.e. Phoenix or one of the others that has screwed it up. But by and large, if you spend that kind of money, you should have good players. And they do have good players. All I'm saying is Thibs, it's like they got to the Final Four of this whole deal. We're one of the last 4 teams remaining. And the reason that they didn't get further is because of Thibs, but the reason they got there is not because of him. And I don't mind
exactly. See, I think with Thibs, if there was if Ty Lue was available, or there's if there was some big guy out there that I felt like was an upgrade, but I think people want to fire Thibs and forget you have to replace him. And I don't think Mike Malone is going to be that much of an upgrade over Thibs. So I would say keep Thibs. And even before you ask it, I'll say just keep the core.
Okay, so that was actually question 3. Would you run it back? Would you run it back and fix the margins, or would you change starters?
I think 2 different questions. In terms of roster, I would keep the core together.
What is the core?
The 5.
You would.
It's the 5 with Mitch and Deuce. Yeah, the starting 5 and Mitch and Deuce. Now, who starts the game? I think that we can talk about that in a second. But because I'm in all the Knicks group chats. You know what I mean? I've got a bunch of group chat friends, and they're all talking about Jay Wright and Durant and Giannis, and it's that is not smart, and it's not going to happen, and that would be very, very, very silly. This has been a very successful season, and I think that with the Thibs part, I think it's not a firing, but it's a conversation. It's a conversation that's hey man, Shamet and Wright, that kind of changed the series. Could have used that in November. I know that they weren't available or whatever, or on the team. But let's loosen up the rotation. Let's play guys less minutes. Let's experiment with different lineups against different things so we can have situational 5s. You know what I mean? You look at the Thunder, who we'll talk about. They've got a 5 if you go small. They've got a 5 if you go big. They've got a 5 if you run. They've got a 5 if it's all going to be half court execution. I feel like the Knicks have a 5,
right?
And that's it. So I think it's there needs to be philosophical adjustments, but marginal roster adjustments. I do think that the 7, including Deuce and Mitchell Robinson and the starting 5, should all come back. And they're all under contract.
Do you think if we would have done this show Saturday night or Sunday morning, you would be this measured about roster and coach?
More coach. It was ridiculous to me to have a team get transition buckets after makes in the first half and then the second half. What was said in the locker room at the second half? What was said?
And this is also what is left in the wake of the Indiana Pacers, because you look at the teams that they eliminated, okay? So the Bucks, we fully expect them to be very different next year, possibly completely different next year. The Cleveland Cavaliers are going to have a true come to Jesus this offseason, right? Especially with Mobley winning Defensive Player of the Year and what his contract is now eligible to become. And you're looking at Jared Allen and you're looking at Darius Garland. And you're already seeing, I saw a rumor the other day, which actually it's worth mentioning. I think it was Chris Fedor was the one that was credited with it, but that there was some kind of framework with a possible Darius Garland and Jalen Suggs kind of swap in some, and because look, you see these stupid trade things and people,
yeah, of course,
you see that stuff all the time. You see every Instagram meme of people proposing, here's the trade, But that was one that like stopped me in my tracks. I was like, oh my God, that would be absolutely amazing for both teams.
Makes total sense.
Like, that's exactly what Orlando needs, and that's exactly what Cleveland needs next to Donovan Mitchell.
I don't have their contracts in front of me, but why not? Like, why not?
I was like, that's actually great framework for a deal. So anyways, the point is, Cleveland is going to make big changes, probably, certainly starting lineup changes, and maybe even bigger going into next year. And then the Knicks, and we will see what happens with the Knicks. But all of that is part of this Indiana Pacers story, which is honestly insane. Like, the more I have done all the finals research as we were getting ready for this show, it's implausible that they are in this position and that they are leaving these teams in their wake that will all alter their rosters and all be different, because there's just no way they should be here based upon preseason odds, December odds, January odds, or even playoff odds. They were slightly favored against the Bucks. And then they were big underdogs to the Cavs, and they were underdogs to the Knicks. And yet here they are.
Before we move on to the Pacers, I do want to say that there's something about team loses playoff series, all of a sudden we have to blow up the roster and change everything. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, What do we do? What are we talking about? Like every single team that loses a playoff series, it's like, oh, we got to blow up the roster. We got to trade their stars. We got to completely shuffle the deck. Like, do you? Look at the Knicks. The Knicks overachieved. I thought they might have lost to the Pistons in the first round. Right. I thought that was a big series win right there.
And I'm gonna tell you the other thing, Jacoby. Boston being out of it is a massive deal with this.
Yes.
Like, you have to look at things differently if you are an outstanding Eastern Conference basketball team right now, because the competition with the whole Giannis thing going up in smoke, maybe nobody really counts on Philly and their stars. So you're looking at it and you're going, okay, who are we dealing with next year? Right? Who are we dealing with next year? What is the problem with bringing back an outstanding team and taking a run at it again? And we'll see how the cards fall.
Well, that's also the same pitch to Giannis. You could say that to the Knicks. You could also say that to Giannis.
You can.
You can say, hey, man, like, you want to go to the West? Wait, you want to play? You want to play with Victor Wembanyama? You think you and Victor Wembanyama are gonna beat these teams?
And one of the things that was interesting, even this is something Durant even said at the trade deadline when he was talking openly about the possibility of him being traded. He was like, number one, I want to see this through. Let's just get through the season. The other thing is, if you trade for me, more than likely you're gutting your team, right? You're losing valuable players. And so now I'm going to a gutted team with 30 games left in the season with the right? And so he's like, I don't really want to do that. Like,
it's a really good point.
I'd much rather let's take a step back. And so that is the other issue, right? A lot of times when these stars get moved, it's like, okay, who's left around me? Because you just traded a bunch of good players to get me.
I would say that Jimmy Butler didn't feel that way.
No.
Yeah, he was like, who's not here? Andrew Wiggins and slow-mo?
Yeah, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
But on the Pacers front, look, it's the 7 players in double digits. They were 10-15 in December, 16-18 when the calendar turned. They had a losing record going into 2025. And since that point, 34-14 in the regular season, 12-4 in the playoffs. So that is 46-18, which is second only to Oklahoma City's 53-13. So these are the two best teams since January 1st. It's just it doesn't feel that way.
The Clippers are probably in there, right? The Clippers had finished really hot, but I would say this one thing I didn't realize is the Pacers were one game behind the Knicks in the standings.
Yeah,
one game.
Unbelievable.
If you were to put a gun to my head after the regular season ended, it'd be like, how many games behind are the Pacers and the Knicks? I'd be like 4, 5. Like, they basically have the same record. One game.
It's just it's like it all happened to where now they're sitting there. They're in the NBA Finals, and they are just so unlike anything that we have seen before, right? Because of their preseason odds, their odds right now to even win the finals. They're plus 500 in an NBA finals, for God's sakes. It's the 6th longest odds in the history of the NBA finals.
God.
They don't really have a superstar scorer, which almost every finals team does. They don't really have some kind of like all defensive monster, which you typically have. You usually have like and you're typically not the underdog all the way through until you get to this point. They are just not like finals teams we have seen in the past, and it has been very difficult to figure out, even when you're starting to look at the finals, and it's like, bro, I watched all of this. I've been mega impressed with the Pacers, but there is still a part of you that's like, I'll be damned. It really is the Pacers.
How many series are they going to have to beat? How many superstars are they going to have to put in the ground before we respect them? I didn't going into the series, to be honest with you. And like, they went to the conference finals last year. And if you were to say before this regular season, be like, Pacers went to the conference finals last year. Do you expect them to return? I would have laughed at your face. I would have said they made it because people got hurt. Like they lucked their way into the conference finals. We won't see them again in the conference finals for years. That's what I would have said before this regular season.
Well, and now, look, they beat that Bucks team. They beat a 64-win team. The Cleveland Cavaliers had 64 wins this year. No matter what anybody wants to say about them.
No, game 2 was tough. Game 2, they had 3 of their 5 starters out. I get it. But
I got it.
Game 3, game 4, game 5, those guys win.
And the Knicks had all of their guys.
All of them.
And they beat them too. So it's like, all right. Seriously. And then, all right, so as we're about to start talking about the finals, because we talked about Oklahoma City and after they laid waste to Minnesota. Jacoby, I've been on this, hey, it's too much too soon. You got to take your scars. Young teams don't typically win, whatever. So it's like, all right, well, if they're going to lose, they have to lose to the Pacers. And so you go through everything, and you're like, all right, what's happened when these teams have met? What happens? What do they do well? Well, let me just tell you something. You're going to quit reading about this series in about 15 minutes if you're trying to find a way for anybody to believe in the Pacers, because this would be, you read all of the stuff leading into it, and Lord knows, I've read every finals preview getting ready for this. I've seen all the stats, and you walk away from it and you're like, and then I'm listening to Zach Lowe and Kirk Goldsberry. Goldsberry's got him in like 5. He's like, man, probably I'll give Halliburton 1. He'll go 5. And then you see the odds. You see the Vegas odds, and it's like, okay, I got it. This whole time, we've all been sitting there going, the Pacers, really? And now they're here, and now I'm ready to be like, don't count them out. We've been counting them out the whole time. And then I read everything, and I'm like, you might want to count them out.
A couple things.
I'm not sure how well this is going to go.
Before the Cavs series, I didn't think the Pacers were going to win the series at all. Remember the Cavs just laid waste to the Heat? They just came off like a 40-point win against the Heat. Like I thought the Cavs were going to run through the Pacers, honestly. And I thought the Celtics were going to run through the Knicks. I thought that Game 7, the Nuggets would beat the Thunder. I've been wrong. We've been wrong. Upsets happen. This is not impossible. And I didn't know we were going to start with the case for the Pacers. I don't think the Pacers are going to win the series, but there is some things that can lead you to believe that it is possible. I've got a couple for you. The Pacers.
I'm all ears.
So we've talked about this. It's very reductive, but oftentimes it all comes down to the guy the other team leaves open, gets the ball. Yeah, there's a closeout, but it's a couple steps away. It's kind of an open 3. Can they make it or not? Right? And we know who it is on both rosters. The finals are here at last. It's all come down to this. Don't miss your chance to bet on all the legendary moments with FanDuel, America's #1 Sportsbook. FanDuel is the best place to find all your favorite player props. And now you can make the smarter play with new performance trends. Want to check a player's consistency during the playoffs? Or maybe they've been flirting with a potential triple-double. Get the latest stats right inside the FanDuel app and see who is heating up. And after the tip-off, that is when things get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay with a chance to win big. I have my eye on a lot of things when it comes to the finals game 1, which is upcoming before we know it. Number 1, I expect the Thunder to win and win it easy. But when I open up my FanDuel, I don't just bet the game, I bet the player props. And I'll be looking at this. If Tyrese Halliburton is being hounded by all of those defenders for the Thunder, I will be betting an under on his points and an under on his rebounds because he does get assists because he gets the ball out of his hands well. I will also be looking at SGA. He is constantly over 20. Constantly over 20. He has a bad game and gets over 20. And I think that the Thunder will run away with game 1. So I will probably bet the Thunder minus whatever the point spread is at the end. So if you combine all of that, you've got the Thunder minus whatever it is, and then you look at Halliburton start the game a little slow. I'm betting the under on his points, the under on his rebounds, and possibly the under on his assists, and SGA over points all the time. Combine all of that, get yourself a same game parlay. That's what I'm looking at in game 1, and we'll see. We'll react and see what happens in game 2. But if you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So just visit FanDuel.com/mismatch and join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Remember, you must be 21 and present in select states or 18 and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. First, online, real money wager, only $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire in 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. The Pacers are the number 1 3-point shooting team in the playoffs. They're shooting 40% in the playoffs.
Which is that's a crazy total for a team.
As a team, not a player. Yeah. I'm not talking about one guy. As a team.
That's right.
The Thunder, number 13.
Yeah.
At 33.6. So maybe this young team. Maybe it's the swing Dort, the swing Wallace, the swing Caruso. Maybe those guys, the pressure of the finals, the bright lights, it's like maybe those guys get cold. And maybe the Pacers guys stay hot. I think that 3-point shooting it's get contagious too. Because once Dort missed ones and Wallace missed ones, it's like it can sort of snowball. And I could see that happening. And I could see the Pacers and Rick Carlisle saying, you know what? If we just shut down, Chet's gonna get 25, but if we shut down J-Dub and just make it a 3-point shooting contest, I could see that happening. Because one thing that I've heard so much talk about is turnovers it's gonna be the turnover battle and the possession battle and the pace battle. Both of these teams want to do that, but I think that's sort of a cancel out thing.
Yeah, but in Oklahoma City's case, it is their ability to score off of those turnovers and you not score off the turnovers at a high rate.
I'm trying to make Jacoby. A case for the Pacers here, all right?
But I actually think that is a reasonable one, right? If you told me, look, and this is why it seems far-fetched, but it's like, do you win the 3-point margin regularly four times, right? Do you win the 3-point margin by a good margin? And can you win somehow the turnover battle and not turn it over at a high rate? Because we know, look, 20-something% of their points come in that fashion. So if you can reduce that even in half, and you just say, all right, we know they're going to score off turnovers, right? But 20% of your points is a very, very high number. And so can we reduce that to 10% of their points come off of turnovers, right? Because look, these games, you're going to have to score 120 to win these games.
Do you know one thing that blew my mind as I was doing some research for this? I was thinking about how little Halliburton turns the ball over, how little the Pacers turn the ball over in that series against the Knicks. It just seems like the Knicks got very few transition baskets, like very few. Deuce McBride stepping out of bounds, that killed the whole game. But anyway, the Thunder turned the ball over less than the Pacers in the playoffs. 11.8 for the Thunder, 12.7 for the Pacers.
Wow.
I'm coming off this series where I was like, these guys never turn the ball over.
Feels like
it just doesn't happen.
Right.
I could probably think of like 4 off the top of my head in a 6-game series.
Well, because they're not gross. Like Minnesota's turnovers were gross.
Oh, no, New York had some gross ones too.
No. I'm saying when you watch Minnesota playing against Oklahoma City, it's like Naz Reid trying to throw the ball 30 feet across the court, and it's like, have you ever watched a Thunder game, bro? like Alex Caruso gets that. And then they go the other way. And how many open dunks do they just get off of? Like, and I can't tell you. I bet 5 times during this playoffs, you have texted me some version of pick six.
Pick six. That's what they do.
It's what they do.
It's what they do. It is more likely there are 2 Thunder players on a break with no defenders than there is that there's 1 defender and 2 Thunder players.
Right.
I was just pretty shocked. I was shocked that the Thunder turned the ball over less. Because everybody talks about pace with the Pacers want to play with pace and the Thunder want to play with pace and turnovers are gonna that's gonna be the thing. Like, I kind of don't feel that way.
Hey, and the other thing is how many of those guys. This is the other thing that the Thunder do. I saw it in the Grizzlies series. I saw it in the Denver series. I saw it in the Minnesota series. How many guys on your team can dribble under pressure? How many of them can actually dribble under pressure? When Lou Dort is an inch from your face, when Alex Caruso is slapping at you constantly, like how many guys can actually dribble under that pressure? Because in every series, you have watched it, and then it's like, oh my God, Julius Randle, do not put the ball on the ground. And you wonder, is it going to be like when Siakam goes to that 2-dribble, spin move, whatever, is that just getting slapped out of his hand? Like, how many of those guys can actually dribble under that kind of duress?
Well,
and we'll see.
This isn't a plus for the Pacers, but they move the ball more than dribble the ball. Do. But the Thunder get in passing lanes more than any other team. So it is kind of like a plus minus, a net zero. But like they move the ball more than dribble, and they dribble with intention. Like Siakam he dribbles with intention. He's not like going between his legs 3 times.
And this is why I'm so torn, bro.
About what?
Because there's part of me that goes, why don't I think they can they can play at a super high level in the NBA? They've lost 4 games in the playoffs. They've done nothing wrong.
Here's my
They've
problem.
Lost 4. We've only watched them lose 4 times, and they have been great since January 1st. So they've been doing this for a long time. This isn't just some kind of like 3-week miracle run. And yet here we are, and as we're reading through these final previews, it's like, oh God, like, are they even going to be able to dribble? Are they even going to be able to back? Are they?
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? Like it really does feel like the more you read about it, the more daunting it is. It's like somehow, even though they've gotten to this point, I mean, honestly.
If you were to read
this
just
would be
as much,
honestly, this would be the most unlikely NBA champion ever.
Pistons.
It's not even close.
Pistons.
It's not even close. No.
Pistons. Lakers.
No, that was one of the greatest defenses ever assembled.
If you were, but I keep going back to how I felt about the Knicks going into the Celtics series. I thought there was going to be just a buzzsaw. I thought they had no chance whatsoever. None.
Right.
Like, grant there's KP's health and whatever, but like, there's always a chance. I don't think the Pacers are going to win, but the problem with me, like the intellectual brick wall I keep running into when I try to make a case for the Pacers is Lou Dort on Halliburton. Lou Dort checks out. Kaysen Wallen on Halliburton. There's a switch. Alex Caruso on Halliburton. And we all know that Halliburton, he's not as consistent as other stars. He can get taken out of games. We've seen it before and we've discussed it. Like against the Bucks, he had a game with 10 points. He had 13 assists. Against the Cavs, he had a game with 4 points and only 5 assists. And in game 5 against the Knicks, he had 8 points and 6 assists. Like, he can be taken out of games. And do you know who can take you out of games? Dort, Caruso, and Wallace.
Okay, so to your point, and this is when I read this, I was like, oh, no. Again, it was just a cavalcade of being like depressed. Every other preview I read, right? This is from Kevin Pelton and Zach Cram's 7 Things to Watch in the Finals.
Mm-hmm.
They had this stat in their article. And as I'm reading it, I was like, oh, God. So first of all, they say in the last 4 games that Halliburton has played against Oklahoma City, he has like taken his least amount of shots and he's like averaged like 12. And he's averaged like 12 points, okay?
In the regular season, I can understand it, but you just can't.
And the assist numbers are low as well. But here it is. Remarkably, Halliburton scored just 8 points on 10 shot attempts in 122 matchups when he was guarded by Lou Dort, according to Genius IQ tracking. 122 possessions. He shot it 10 times and scored 8 points.
How many assists? Better have 50 assists.
That is Halliburton's lowest shot rate against any individual defender with a minimum of 50 matchups in that span. And then it goes on, and then this is when I was like, oh no. Halliburton's highest shot rate, conversely, came when he was matched up against Jalen Brunson. But the Thunder's stout defense doesn't offer any similar targets whom Halliburton can attack like he did in the conference finals. Suffice to say, the Pacers point guard must play much better and much more aggressively for his team to have a chance at a finals upset. I mean, 122 matchups, and he shot it 10 times and scored 8 points. I was like, oh, God. That is the torture chamber.
That's tough.
That's the torture chamber.
But the thing is it's not, there's no cat out there where it's like, all right, whoever cat's guarding, come up here and set me a high screen and I'll get it to switch. Mm-hmm. There's none of that. Right. We going to end up with J-Dub in front of you? I like that if I'm the Thunder.
That's fine with me. You're trying to find Chet.
You're fine. Chet is so long, you give him a little bit of space.
But that is.
And he might hit a couple 27-foot threes, but
well, honestly, it's corner 3 city.
Chet, if he gets past Chet can still block a shot.
We know this. It's wing and corner threes.
That's what I mean. It's going to be
we saw
Nemhard, Neesmith, and fucking Bryant with 3 for 3 in game 6.
That was crazy. All right.
What?
Thomas Bryant, who's only in there by virtue of, I guess, Tony Bradley's injury.
Yeah, say that again out loud. Just say what you just said.
I know.
Thomas Bryant is there because Tony Bradley's unavailable, and he goes 3 for 3 from 3.
It was like the NBA Jam. He's on fire. Crowds going crazy. I'm like, okay, all right. Just let's just go ahead and pack our bags and go back home. We're done. We're done here. If Thomas Bryant is just going to start.
I mean, the second Thomas Bryant 3, I was like, okay. I was like, this. It was kind of contested too. I was like, oh, this is over. But
no, and that's the thing is like you do wonder on those look, they're going to get those kickouts. You saw it during the Minnesota series, which is the, swing, Jaden McDaniels wide open 3 in the corner. This starts the game. It starts the game with that.
Hit,
and it's like he took 5 shots in the first quarter.
And you also, but on the other side, you see it with Dort. When Dort's hitting, he's hitting. And when he's missing, he's missing. Like,
right.
If he misses the first couple, he's just the shot doesn't look the same. It's a little hesitant. And like that is that's my case for the Pacers is just we're hot from 3. You're not. That's my case for the Pacers.
And the other thing is that Rick Carlisle, theoretically, will be able to do the best job at game planning that we have seen against this team.
Bro, I mean, Mark
No,
Daigneault did some things in that Nuggets series. Where I was like,
no.
What? Yeah.
But, yeah, right. But I'm saying if you have a chance, Rick Carlisle is as seasoned as seasoned gets. He has seen all manner of great superstars that he has had to deal with. He has been the team that shouldn't win. Like, I mean, they knocked off the Miami Heat once upon a time, right? Like with their star and Dirk. And if you're trying to just have somebody concoct a game plan, and the interesting thing will be what they do on SGA, and does this just become all right, we're living with the rest. If Cason Wallace and Lou Dort and J-Dub and all those guys are beating us, but what we're not going to do, this guy, like we just watched in the Western Conference Finals, we just watched Shai Gilgeous-Alexander average 31 points a game in that Western Conference Finals, right? Just was the best player.
I think he had a game that wasn't that efficient either. He still ended up with like 25 or whatever, but he had kind of like a bad game.
But he's the best player by far, right?
It was game 3.
And it's like, all right, are they going to just decide, hey, we will live with the results of the others? You even saw Memphis do this at the very beginning of the playoffs. Remember when he started off when he was shooting like 35, 40% from the field, whatever. But it was like they were selling out on him. It's like, all right, well, if the other guys do it, then the other guys do it. But like, you don't get to be the MVP and the other guys go off too. And that's the cardinal sin of what happened in the Minnesota series. It's like, bro, who are you stopping? We had a game where him, Chet, and J-Dub scored 95 points.
There was points at the Nuggets series where J-Dub looked very vulnerable as a second scorer. Where it's like, we cannot rely on him. During that game 4, game 5 of the Nuggets series, it was like, we can't rely on him to be a second scorer when they turn off the faucet on SGA. But at the end of the Minnesota, there's no indication in the last couple of weeks that he can't be that guy. But I want to continue to make a case for the Pacers here.
All right.
One thing, I listened to Zach as well. And they said, Nembhard's going to be on SGA. And I said to myself, why? Why would you not start Nesmith on SGA? You put him on Jalen Brunson.
He looked a little banged up in the last one, though, didn't he? Yeah, but he's got time now.
He said he's got 5 days off and it's an ankle. You give 5 minutes off to an ankle to a lot of these guys in the tunnel, and they come back looking like it's the first game of the season. So, like, I believe that he will be healthy. For me, I'm putting Nesmith on SGA, and I'm telling Nesmith, just get into him, body him, make it hard, make him feel you at all times without fouling, and don't worry about him getting to the rim. Worry about him pulling up from mid-range. I'd be like, if he finishes at the rim, it's not your problem. Mm-hmm. Your problem is him shooting threes and mid-range shots. Because I can't tell you how many times that he's going to the rim and then just pulls up from 15, 16, and he is just butt naked wide open. He's been doing it all year long. It's easier said than done. But that's what I'm doing. If I'm the Thunder, I'm saying, you have Miles Turner back there, who I looked it up, 3rd in blocks a game during the regular season. Did you know that? He was 3rd in blocks. No. Why are you making that face? It's a fact. It's
because nobody's scared to go to the rim, though. Come on. I got it. It's a good counting stat.
What I am saying is
nobody is looking up and seeing Miles Turner and going, "Oh God, turn around."
He's not Wembanyama, but from a philosophical, trying to make a case for the Pacers standpoint, I'm putting Nesmith on SGA, and I'm saying, get into him, make him work, body blows all the first 3 quarters. You're stronger and bigger than him. Make him feel that, and just understand he's going to pull up at mid-range. And if he does it hesitate and gets past you, that's not your problem.
I agree with you. And it's like, look, if you, because as we're talking about, it's like keep the turnovers low and trade 3s for 2s more often than not. They're going to have to outscore them, and the defense is on the Thunder side, right? Like, know that if we're having a stop war, this is in the Thunder's favor. But can we turn this into an all-star game? Because look, I think there's going to be some gaudy numbers put up in this. Gaudy. With the pace, you got the 2nd and 3rd highest pace in these playoffs. I think they're going to fly up and down. I really
are the Grizzlies number 1?
They were number 1. They were number 1 in terms
Hang a
of
banner.
pace.
Hang
Yeah,
a
what does it
banner.
matter? Yeah,
Hang
right.
a banner.
I'll tell you this. Scottie Pippen Jr. had like 30-something points in those games. Like, they will run with you. They will run with you. Like, they don't want to play half-court basketball either. And so that is the one thing on the Pacer side, which is they're willing to play full-court basketball, and they are a great defensive team, but this is where we dwell. We want to play. Look at our game chart. Every damn game we play is in the hundreds. This is what we want. We want to fly up and down. We want this thing to not be physical. We want this thing to not be an execution war. We want to have a foot race, and then we'll try to outscore you.
The Pacers have lost 4 games this postseason. Against the Bucks game 3, they scored 101.
Right.
Against the Cavs game 3, 104. The Knicks game 3, 100. The Knicks game 5, 94. It's like, it's very reductive, but it's like, yeah.
No, they run off of makes. They run off of makes.
That's over. Like, the Thunder are at home watching game 6 too. They watched the game too.
They've been doing it all playoffs. They've been doing it all year.
They watched the game too. I don't think
honestly, that's the one thing I will say about the Pacers. And I know there's a lot of big market bias, and look, the ratings are. Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. You and I love basketball.
I don't care.
I don't care about the ratings either. I don't.
None of that money matters to anyone.
And I know for sure they're going to be terrible, and everybody's going to be like the lowest rated finals and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Look, the Pacers are unlike anything else in the NBA. Nobody plays like them. It's breakneck. It is breakneck. Who scores fast breaks off of made?
Like 9 times.
It just doesn't happen. I mean,
do you know how frustrating that was?
It's fun as hell to watch, though. They are a fun team to watch. I know it was against your team, but damn, man, they are fun. And they've had multiple 20-point comebacks. They've done this three times. They've been down 7 points with 90 seconds left, and they've won games. I mean, it's all just unheard of.
So let's get back to roadmap for a Pacers win. I've got another one for you because I've been working hard on this because I've been consuming all the same thing that you've been consuming. It's just like, how is this not a sweep? You know what I mean?
How are they not getting mangled?
It's just like so let me give you this roadmap. Bucks series, miraculous comeback victory. Cavs series, miraculous comeback victory. Knicks series, even more miraculous than the previous 2 miraculous comeback victories. You get one in Oklahoma City of the first 2. One of the first 2. You split that, you head home, you get one of those 2 at home. And then you've got a game 5. You just need to take either 5 or 7. Like, there is a way this happens.
I'm
going to speak your language now, Verno. I'm going to speak your language now.
All right, let me hear it.
The Thunder are a young team.
They're young.
And if they have to come home game 5 tied 2-2 in the finals with everything that comes with the finals, the finals are just different. Like, it's like the rhythm of the game, the way it's structured, the half times, like everything's just different. It's kind of like a Super Bowl if you're a football player. It's different. And the lights might get bright. If you lose game 4 to go 2-2, and a lot of questions are being asked for 3 days, I could see the youth of the Thunder making them vulnerable.
Yeah, I thought you were really going to speak my language and say, you know what? If Aaron Gordon wouldn't have gotten hurt, we'd be talking about Jokic versus the play.
I mean, dude, do you know what I'm so tired of hearing? I'm so tired of hearing, well, if the Knicks didn't blow game 1, they did. They did. They blew game 1. So
and Aaron Gordon blew out his hamstring.
Whatever.
That happened.
Whatever.
They did go to 7 games against Denver. We have been prisoner of the moment in that they just laid waste to Minnesota. But we did see a team compete with them at a high level.
I think that everyone also forgot game 3 of Minnesota series. They got waxed. Or just
by 40.
Boat raced. Yep. Boat raced. Curb stomped. They got waxed in that game.
Five was a great game. Sorry. No, 4.
That was the one.
4 was a great game that they just had answer after answer after
I did feel like they had a handle on that game, though. and Minnesota hit a ton of shots
that's right.
without AE and Randall playing well. That was the DiVincenzo game, Nikhil Alexander Walker game, McDaniels game. Like all of the others showed up in that one, but like game 3, they were just absolutely waxed. And this is the team that we've already crowned before the ball's been tipped in game 1. I'm not sitting here saying the Pacers are going to win, but let's show them some respect. And let's also respect the fact that weird shit happens in the playoffs.
And weird shit constantly happens with the Pacers.
Yes.
Pacers in 6. Pacers in 6. Say it. Come on, Jacoby. I hope this is a very entertaining finals.
I think
the odds are the odds, bro. And the
whatever.
odds are the odds.
I mean, whatever. I mean, I going into the Knicks Celtics series, I thought the Knicks had no chance. I think the Pacers have no chance, but I just want to see. I want to see a really competitive first half of game 1.
No,
you know what I mean? Like I want to see like the Pacers show up, hit some shots, get that Thunder crowd quiet, have them stand for like 5 possessions, and it's 6-0. You know what I mean? And they're standing there, they're all looking around at each other. Like I want to see that happen.
Trust the worst thing. So the Denver series, right? You saw them split in those first 2 games.
Yes.
And so then it was like, oh, this is going to be great, right?
But didn't that involve the Aaron Gordon dunk?
What?
Didn't that involve the Aaron Gordon dunk finish thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that was the first round.
That was Clippers.
Yes.
All right, I'm tripping.
Yeah. But he did hit a game winner.
He hit
the game-winning 3
when Russ hit him on the break.
Yeah.
Yes, when I was screaming at my TV, Russ, no.
Yeah, right. So, anyways, but the worst thing that could possibly happen is we already know when it's going to be Indiana versus Oklahoma City. You're already like, there's a portion of the country that's going to be like, oh, who cares, right? The worst thing that could happen is that Oklahoma City does what they've done a couple other times, which is come out the gates in game 1 and just bury them. And then we're all like, oh, God, no. This is going to be because
if I'm looking at my phone, if I'm scrolling Instagram in the third quarter, then like, what are we doing?
Because they have buried people in some of these games. Like 40-point wins.
Dude, you've read all the same stuff I've read. There's sometimes you're just like,
damn
the
it.
Margin of victory. The margin of victory stuff, you're like, God, I think the Pacers should probably get a win in game 1 if they keep it in single digits. Like we should just give them the win.
Here's what we're going to be rooting for. Okay, we are rooting that we get a game 6 in Indiana. That to me, that's a win for the NBA Finals. If we get a game 6 in Indiana, then I'm saying as fans, that's a win.
Of course.
Anything less than that is what everybody expects, which is a wipeout. It's either a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. So let's just hope we get to watch a game 6 with, with the crowd. Indiana's crowd is great. They're great.
Oh, but 2 great crowds. Two great crowds.
Yes.
They might be great
Small
crowds.
Markets, it matters
literally
more.
Nothing else is going on in the city.
It matters more.
That might be part of it, but yeah.
And I love that they're like both these payrolls are in the 20s. Like all the things they both, so much of the way these teams were built, you've got a combination of the homegrown guys, but also you look, bro, the Pacers traded for their best player and they traded for their second best player. And the Oklahoma City Thunder traded for their best player, right? He's the one making all this stuff go. And so for years, it was always small markets. Their only chance is just to get lucky in the draft. But you have these teams that have been so strategically built and targeted guys that ended up becoming so much better than anybody could have feasibly expected. Obviously, Gilgeous-Alexander much more than Halliburton. But people still thought the Halliburton deal was a great deal for the Pacers at the time when it was the Sabonis deal. And so you just look and you go, they didn't spend their way to get this. And they also didn't have to get lucky in the draft necessarily to have this happen. I mean, Chet's the high draft pick on that Thunder team, but Jalen Williams is just a great draft pick in the teens, right? Like, that's their other guy.
Oh, look at the Pacers. Nembhard, second rounder, Neesmith,
and
tossed off in the Celtics.
And you see what they did in the offseason. They went and they made a trade for Alex Caruso, and they signed Isaiah Hartenstein, and it changes everything.
Watching this Knicks series, what I wouldn't do to have Isaiah Hartenstein on that team.
Right.
What I wouldn't do to have a big that could make a pass, that could make a floater, that could catch the ball. He offensive rebounds just as good as Mitch does. He can just do other things.
Well,
but
right. Few things before we get out of here. What do you make of the Devin Booker's? It feels like Devin Booker didn't get to have a say in the last round of coaching with the Vogel or Budenholzer, and so now it's okay. We're just gonna let you. We're gonna get one that you're comfortable with because we've tried it two different ways and that didn't work either time.
It feels like this is their way of saying just don't ask out.
Yeah,
we're gonna trade your buddy Durant. Don't ask out. We're doing everything we can to bring you in.
Yep.
We just don't ask out. But here's what I would say if I was like Matt Ishbia's advisor. I'd be like, you can let Devin veto coaching hires, but you can't let Devin pick coaching hires. You see what I'm saying? Like, if he has a problem with a decision that you want to make, then we can take his opinion in. But don't let him lead the conversation about where this should go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that gets a little dicey. It's like you can decide who's not going to be your coach, but you can't decide who is going to be your coach. And I would never say that out loud to Devin Booker, but that's what I would say amongst the president of basketball operations, the GM, and the owner. You know what I mean?
Last thing before we get out of here, because I want your expertise on this. You spent 2 decades producing shows at the worldwide leader in sports.
Well, and starring in them as well, but sure.
And starring in them as
Jesus.
well.
Over 2 decades, 23 years.
You started off behind the scenes producing all manner of shows. You might have heard our boss and longtime friend Bill Simmons lament that while Inside the NBA did their farewell on TNT and then announced that they were going to be going to ESPN, Bill said they're going to F that up. So you have been there for a long, long time. I know Bill had experience there too. Rosillo had experience there. So they got a good chuckle out of that. They have reason to believe that they do not think the show will be able to breathe in the same way and be able to be successful in the same way. What say you as someone who was a part of trying to make these shows entertaining while also, serving two masters with the sponsors and everything else that has to go into it?
This has been discussed before, so I'm going to retread some just like stuff that's out there. But when you watch an ESPN halftime, they go to break, they talk, then they toss to a second break, and then they come back to a VO, a voiceover, where you don't even see the people at the desk, and they show like a highlight, and they'll have Malika be like, Tyrese Halliburton first half, 10 points and 3 rebounds. And here he is throwing an alley-oop to Pascal Siakam. And then Perk will be like, throw it down, Siakam. And then they go to another break. So it's like literally like 20 seconds of like quote unquote content and then another break. So to the audience, it feels like an 8-minute break. But like on paper, it's a 4-minute break and a 20 seconds of content, another 4 minutes of break. That can't happen. And another thing is like SportsCenter has long time been like the consistent, constant moneymaker at ESPN. I mean, I was there. There was a time, I don't know if you remember this, where they're like, we're going 24-hour SportsCenter. It was like, I want to say like 2008, 2009, where they're like 9 to 11, it's these people on ESPN 1, 11 to 1, it's these people on ESPN 1. Then we go to ESPN 2, and it's 1 to 3 with that. They're just like, we're going to be SportsCenter all day. We're never going to not have SportsCenter on. 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, no matter what, we always have SportsCenter. And SportsCenter became, from the ad sales group, the sort of lead thing outside of like Monday Night Football or huge or finals or whatever events. It's because it was so consistent. It was something that constantly got numbers. And there was just sort of like an undercurrent of money coming in that didn't really rely on the ups and downs of ratings of matchups on Monday Night Football or who's in the Super Bowl or who's in the playoffs or whatnot. Like it was just a consistent baseline of advertising dollars coming in. And they always wanted to raise that floor. And they raised that floor by going to SVP, who I love, who does a great show. I fucking love his Sports Center. I love his Sports Center.
I do too.
And he does a great job, especially after games, of bringing in live interviews and bringing in press conferences. And he's got that real estate really well done. And it's really come together. He's been doing it for years. It's great. He does a great job.
It's the best thing they've got going to me.
It's great. I love his Sports Center, especially after a Monday Night Football game or after a big basketball game.
Yep.
They can't do that anymore now that they have Inside. They're going to have to take the financial hit, because really what it is, if people don't work in TV, it's called your lead-in. If your lead-in is the finals game, those people don't change the channel. You know what I mean? Like the lead-in is going to be a huge number, and that lead-in, it goes into Sports Center. So SVP gets these huge numbers, but they're quote-unquote Sports Center numbers. So an advertiser doesn't buy into SVP Sports Center in particularly, they buy into Sports Center. So they raised the floor of the rating of Sports Center by tossing right to Sports Center after games. But they can't do that anymore with Inside the NBA. Because all of the moments, all the silliness, all of the things that happen on Inside the NBA that really stick and jump out and stick out, that stick in your memory, they're not in the rundown. They're not the funny tweets going to break. It's spontaneous, and it's in between the guys, and it's just them not having barriers or a rundown or roadblocks. They just kind of hang.
Well, do you think there's a chance that they're just going to let them produce their own, though? Because I was thinking about this the other day. Because if you ever flip on, like, McAfee in the mornings, there's no breaks. Like, they're just running through. That's clearly not, like, they're letting them produce that thing. And you watch, like, the Manning cast on Monday night, it's not the same format. Right? Like they kind of, I guess Omaha Productions or whatever Peyton's thing does that. Like, so do you think it's possible that it's going to be a lease out where
I think that's the deal. I think the deal is I honestly think,
well, then I would be comfortable that they wouldn't screw it up because it's not under their thumb.
Same producers, same production, same studio in Atlanta. Like I said before, the only thing that changes is the logo on the desk. Literally. I think that was the deal. I don't think those terms, if those terms weren't the terms, then they wouldn't have agreed to it.
So they couldn't screw it up.
They could screw it up if they tossed to Sports Center and they put Inside on ESPN2. That's the problem. They just need to eat. They need to say, you know what? We're going to lose $30 million a year by not putting Sports Center on after games. I don't know what the number is. I don't work in sales.
But that's million. The one.
That they're going to lose money by keeping Inside on.
That's the cash cow? That's the cash cow?
Yes. They're going to lose money by not tossing to Sports Center. That's why they go to Sports Center. If you worked on NBA Countdown, you're sitting there at the desk, like they go to Sports Center first, and then maybe you might have a segment 8 minutes into Sports Center after they've gone to break for 3 minutes. So you get one thought apiece, and then you go home.
It's interesting because
under the new world, it's going to be the game. They should go the game to Inside and stay on Inside for half an hour or an hour because they're best when they're just talking.
Well, and it's interesting because I think that Barkley was acting like he's only on there for a third of the time and whatever, and so maybe they try to schedule it like where they're doing Saturday night games. I don't know what the schedule's going to be like. You know what I mean?
They do prioritize. How do I explain? There's not all NBA countdowns are treated the same, and you notice this sometimes. And I love these people. Sometimes you're like, oh, it's Wendy and Malika tonight. You know what I mean? You're like, oh. Like, they have Wednesday night games.
Yeah.
And then they have Saturday, but it's the ABC games. Then when they go to ABC after football season, that's when you're going to get, they might really just use them as like the A team, and you might get a more NBA countdown-ish B team on the Wednesday night games.
Gotcha.
Because the ABC games are the ones when they're like, because when Magic was on Countdown, for example.
Right.
And we're like, okay, we'll look at the schedule that we got. Magic's not going to be at 100% of these. He's going to be at 40% of these. So if we've only got 30 Magic bullets, pun not intended, to fire, we're going to fire them on the ABC games on Saturday and Sunday prime times. And I think that's when you're going to see the full Barkley. I think the Wednesday night games.
You think it'll still be good?
Yeah, because it's the same guys in the same studio with the same production. How can it not be good? Like this whole farewell tour to me is like they're really saying farewell to the TNT executives.
But what was crazy is because they were like, The whole crew is coming.
Yeah, everyone's going to be with them.
So it's not even like they're saying goodbye to the TNT people.
Also, like, I don't have the highest opinion of ESPN executives. I mean, I like most of them, but no one's going to walk into that room and be like, all right, guys, we got to reinvent this show. We got major changes. Here's my PowerPoint presentation. You know what I mean? Like, who's doing that? Who's walking in there being like, I've noticed, listen, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. I've got some ideas. Like, no one is doing that. No one is doing that to the Inside the NBA show. No one.
I know. And
Why
honestly, it's the one. I mean, of all the sports, they're the one that nailed it. They're the ones that have gotten it. You know, they've gotten it right.
It's not always good. I think, I think people I think their highs are high, but people forget there's a lot of like regular season games where the guys don't care. They're mailing it in.
I got it.
They're talking shit about the game. And I'm kind of sitting there being like, guys, like, you're supposed to be the ringleader of this circus. And you're like,
right.
You're not really selling me the act. You know what I mean?
They're
like,
entertained, but they're still entertaining.
They're fantastic.
You know
but like, I think I think people's perception of the show is higher than what the show actually is on a day-to-day basis. It's a great show, but like, I watch it all. You know what I mean?
It is also funny to like. I've just been on social media since that last game. I've seen 1,000 of the clips of it's like, what was your favorite moment from inside the NBA? And I'm like, every time I see it, I'm like, yeah, that is super hilarious. But like, the show's not gone. Like,
and it's not going anywhere.
It's such a weird feeling.
And none of those moments are planned, though. When you watch those moments, like, none of that is like, the producer had an idea. They worked on it for 3 weeks and like they ran this tape that was hilarious. It's always just like spur of the moment stuff, which is a tribute to the talent on the set.
But it was felt also, like everybody was doing like your favorite Seinfeld moment after the finale. And it's like,
yeah, it's coming back next week. Like, next Thursday, 8:00 NBC. It's gonna be there. They'll be doing like pregame for ESPN next year. Do you know what I did love seeing though?
Let me hear it.
Jalen Anthony Rose at the pregame.
Yep.
Jalen Anthony Rose there for all the pregame on Inside the NBA on TNT. Sit front row at the game.
You think he'll be back in the mix?
I don't know. Ask him.
He will be. You just saw him at his golf tournament thing.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I do have to share one thing before we go.
Let me hear it.
I did it again.
What,
Game
you're mean
6.
To your wife? You're mean to your wife?
It was Saturday. I got 3 TVs in my apartment. One is in the nursery where the baby was sleeping. One is in my bedroom where I was going to watch the game. Internet didn't work back there. Tech issues. So I have to watch in the living room where my wife, her sister, and her best friend, shout to Auntie Denise and Auntie Zoe, and my twin daughters were playing the game of life. So I had to put my chair on the other side of the coffee table and watch the game on the television. Because I can't go to a bar. Because bar is just like, it's just insane. Like I can't focus at all. So I got the volume up to 100. They're playing the game of life behind me. The twins are arguing about stuff like, oh, my salary, this is my job, and you cheated. I had a boy, not a girl. And the aunties started to argue and getting loud. They're having a good time. And the Knicks the second half started to fall apart. I'm like, when is bedtime? I thought you guys were going to bed. It's 9:30. You're 9 years old. I started to fucking lose it. And I thought about this show. I was talking about telling you about when I did it before, and I can't even change it. I did it again. I hate myself so much.
I will say this, but no one here has, like, I haven't cared about something. Look, the Oklahoma City destroyed the Grizzlies months ago now. The only thing, I hadn't even thought about the Grizzlies until like last week. My daughter comes in and she's like, Dada, does Taylor Jenkins still live here? And I was like, I don't know.
Great question.
I was like,
probably not.
I was like, I think so. Like, he probably hasn't sold his house yet. She's like,
yeah, probably not.
She's like, it was him, Mama. And I was like, what? She's like,
oh, you saw him in the grocery store?
She's like, I just saw him at Whole Foods. And I was like, it's the first time I've thought about him in weeks. She's like, he's not the coach anymore. And I was like, no, he's not the coach anymore, sweetie.
But he's still got to get his Whole Foods. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's still got to get his 365. Are there any offseason Grizzlies rumors? Is anything happening? No,
not yet. I mean, you got to wait till we get the offseason.
We will.
Yep.
When we come back, when's the game?
Look, all right, Thursday night, we are going to record right after Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
Oh, shit!
Hopefully, it's going to be great. Hey,
it's going to be great.
Anything
Finals
that's not
games
a
are
run
great.
out. Anything that's not a run out. Let's pray that Thursday night we are talking about competitive basketball and what can happen going forward, and not, oh my God, the Thunder just beat somebody else by 30.
I think we will.
I hope so.
I think we will. I think that I've read and seen all the stuff that you have, and all the smart money is on the Thunder blowing everybody out all the time. But like, man, weird stuff happens, especially with the Pacers. I'm not going to pick them to win the series, but what I've consumed in the last 48 hours, I think has been disrespectful to the Pacers.
And as we said, we just want there to be a game 6. The longer a series goes, you never know. You could play a game 6, and then the next thing you know, one of your best players in Aaron Gordon isn't there for game 7, right? Like that stuff happens throughout this. We have had pretty good health, but I mean, like you can also go and you could say, man, maybe the Wolves wouldn't have even been there if Curry doesn't get hurt. Maybe like we can do this 100 different ways, but that is the way these things go, right? That is the way typically these things go. It's like the longer the series goes, the more up to chance these things can become. That's all I'm saying.
And I think it's important for the Pacers, win or lose, to be competitive in game 1.
Absolutely.
Especially to start the game.
And there's a lot of time. There's a lot of time off beforehand, a lot of time to plan for it, a lot of time to get healthy.
So here's it's not a prediction, but something I would love to see happen. I want to see the Pacers get up like 8-0 and Dagnall call a timeout, and the fans to be like, can we sit down during the timeout? Or do we have to stay standing?
And then I get to fire off I told you they were fetuses text.
I just want the fans to be standing the whole time, to be like, could we sit down? Like, we're going to commercial break. Can I sit down and then stand back up when they play again, or do I have to stand the whole time? I'd love to see that.
Keep shooting hot, Nimhard. All right. Jacoby, we will reconvene on Thursday night. Thanks to our executive producer, Jesse Lopez, as always. Thanks to our man, Tucker. And Jacoby, I will talk to you Thursday night.
Must be 21 and over and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and over and present in D.C. Got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.